Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Ginger Pierce, and I'm one of the travel agents with Marvelous Mouse Travels. We are the agency that runs this Facebook group, along with several others that are focused on different destinations. And we are also an earmarked platinum authorized Disney vacation planner. And that just means that we are trained by Disney to be experts in their vacation products. And we are also recognized by them as providing exceptional customer service. Welcome to Sundays with MMT. This is a weekly live agent panel video series that we do in one of our Facebook groups every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we're really excited to be in this group tonight to talk to you about VIP tours at Walt Disney World. So we have a lot of information that we're going to be sharing with you, but we also want to save some time at the end to take any questions that you may have. So if at any point during what we're sharing with you, you think of a question, feel free to go ahead and drop that into the comments, and we will come back to all of the questions at the end of the video. We are using a platform called StreamYard to go live this evening, and it may request that you approve it to display your username and profile picture if you want to post a comment. Just know that you can decline that permission and you can still post and interact with us anonymously. So I'm joined tonight by three of our marvelous agents. Ladies, thank you so much for being here tonight. And if you would take just a second to tell everybody your name, how long you've been with the agency, and the best way for them to contact you if they're interested in planning a vacation.
Hey everyone, my name is Fawn Anderson. I've been with Marvelous Mouse for 8 years now. The best way to reach me is at the email address below. It's fawn, Fawn, at marvelousmousetravels.com.
Hi, my name's Sarah Hamer. I've been with the agency for about 3.5 years, and the best way to reach me is Sarah at marvelousmousetravels.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Versillo. I've been with Marvelous Mouse Travels for about 4 years. And the best way to contact me is on Instagram via below. I'm always on there.
And again, my name is Ginger. I have been with the agency just over 3.5 years. And the best way to get in touch with me is to visit my blog, which you can find at gingermmt.com. So, my husband and I were having the conversation the other day about just like how huge Walt Disney World is, and how, there's so many things to do there that you could really never wanted to see, be able to truly see and do everything in one trip. And many people, I think, when they're approaching a Disney vacation and they're like, man, I wish that I could just know that I'm going to get to do the things that I want to do, and that I wouldn't have to worry about the crowds, and I wouldn't have to worry about, staking out a spot for the fireworks, forever in advance. So if you have ever had the desire to vacation at Disney on your own terms, you're going to love what we're talking about tonight, because we are talking about the Disney VIP tours, which really give you the opportunity to do that. And this is an offering that I think many people, especially if they're kind of new to Disney, might have never heard of, or even if they've heard of it, they may not really know everything that's involved and what all is included. And so that's kind of what we're going to share with you tonight, is just an overview of the Disney World VIP tours. So let's start really broad and really, kind of basic with our first question here. Ladies, what is a VIP tour at Walt Disney World?
I'll go. VIP tour at Disney World. First of all, you can have up to 10 people, which is great. So, bring your family, bring your girlfriends. But what they do basically, you just tell them where you want to go, what ride, and they're going to take you right onto those rides immediately, whether it's backstage or, through the lightning lane. So you're really going to get through all the major attractions. I don't know how broad you want to go here, but you can park hop. So, it's fully customizable to you, and, you're going to do what you want to do and do it fast.
Yeah.
I like to look at it from a different standpoint. As a former cast member, I like to think like you get to kind of see what it's like to be a cast member in some of the areas that they take you. So it's super great experience. And, part of the tour, just one of the things that you can see is the Utilidor, which that was like one of my first days of training, and they take you into Magic Kingdom and you got your little tag that says, you're earning your ears. That was one of the coolest things to see. So as a guest, getting to see something that's such a monumental step in a cast member's career is super cool that you get to be a part of that. And then you just, of course, when like Fawn was saying, you're getting through the lines quickly, you don't just like weave through the line. They take you away that you get to see different things that other guests won't get to see. So there's a lot. And then, of course, your tour guide is so knowledgeable that you learn so much, because it's not just a theme park. It's not just roller coasters and all of that. It's like a huge world that Walt Disney created, and everything that he did had a reason, and you get to learn all those things as to why. And it's so amazing, the knowledge that you can get from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, I was thinking the same thing, because the tour guide was one of the most impressive parts of our VIP tour. The knowledge he gave us, the history, and this isn't something that anybody can just sign up to be a tour guide. They earn this. And ours even worked at Tokyo Disney for a while. So we got to pick his brain on other locations. And for me, it was really that behind the scenes access that blew me away, because I have done a VIP tour at Disneyland, and this was so different. And they immediately swept you off Main Street through the back to get to different spots. And the knowledge of our VIP tour guide, I'm going to shout out to Jaime. He was the best ever. But he made everything so much better. And we had an idea of what we wanted, but he also guided us into the right directions of where it would be best for us to go to maximize our tour.
Something else I noticed too, just to add, because I know a lot of people might think when we're saying, oh, it's the history and that, like, it's going to be like a history lesson that is a bore to kids or people who don't care about Disney, where it's not. It's like, I mean, one of the things that, of course, when I did my tour, I was a cast member, so it was a little bit different. But one of the things they told us is that the garbage cans are so many feet apart because Walt figured out that's how long it takes for you to unwrap something before, so when you're walking between them, they're spaced out in the amount of seconds it would take to unwrap something. So there's no trash on the ground in Disney. I mean, how amazing is that? And then, of course, some little kid's going to be like, okay, let me try. And, so it's definitely something for all ages. That's super interesting. It's not just, history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they definitely, I think they do a really masterful job of, as you're walking from point A to point B, they're giving you that information, to kind of, even on the, few occasions when you are having to spend a little bit of time in transit, they're filling that time with something that's still engaging and enjoyable, which is, that's the Disney difference, right? That's something that we talk about a lot as travel professionals, that Disney is really focused on the guest experience and making it the best that it possibly can be at all stages of your trip. And so they really do. I mean, they think through every detail, and they take, of course, your wants and your interests into account. But I love the fact that you guys said that they are a guide, right? So they're going to give you, suggestions for, well, this might be something that you would enjoy next. And so it's really kind of a collaborative process between the guest and the cast member who's leading the VIP tour. Yeah. So what types of families or travel parties do you think a VIP tour would be perfect for?
Personally, for me, we did it because we were traveling with grandparents, and we knew that this would be kind of the big trip. And we also figured we wanted to kind of knock a lot out on the first day, so the rest of our trip was really easy breezy, and we already got so much done. We could sleep in today, and we know we've got this done. So we just wanted to knock everything out, and having grandparents was kind of our thing. But I also think too, we're coming from the West Coast, so it's a big trip for us to go out there, and we know we want to get the most out of our trip. So I think large families, it's wonderful for, even if you only have like a few short days at the park, but you want to fit it all in, this is the tour for you.
Yeah.
I feel like my answer is not going to be very helpful, but I'm like, everybody, it's great for everybody. If it's like your first time, you could learn so much. If you're a Disney buff, you can learn so much. Like, you can see so much. It's, you're, like you said, it's the Disney difference. So you're getting what you pay for. And I know we're going to talk about it later, but when people see the sticker price, they might be like, oh, but the experience that you get from it, and like the guide, like just changing everything. It may just be a birthday trip for a 5-year-old, and she might be wearing an Elsa t-shirt, but they're going to make sure that when they walk through to get you from point A to point B, you're going to see Elsa or something on the way to make it magical. It's just, I think it really is for anybody. It's like, I don't want to be like, oh, I think this is the dynamic that should happen. I'm like, everybody needs to experience it.
That's I was going to say the same thing. Like, I think it would work for everyone. Multi-generational, it really works for everyone, and you're going to get so much out of it. You really are.
You know, speaking about the multi-generational and then like the grandparents and stuff, that is something too, though, with a lot of clients that I've been working with is, you know, well, grandma and grandpa are coming or great uncle and so. And, you know, it is hard. It is a lot of walking. These parks are huge, but this is a way that they get to still see the younger generations, their kids, their grandkids enjoying all of the magic of Disney. And it's kind of guided. And also it's a little bit easier on them, weights and heat and walking and whatever, that I think that's a really great way for a family to fully enjoy each other, enjoying the magic with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do recommend it for people say, I'm a huge Disney fan. I always plan out. I'm the biggest planner. I do everything and I've got it all set. It's like, there are so many things with this VIP tour. You could go to Disneyland 50 times or Walt Disney World 50 times a year. But it's such a behind the scenes aspect of it that you're walking. I remember we went on Jingle Cruise and he's like, do you want to do pirates? We're like, sure. And all of a sudden we found this random door in the back and he opened it and we just walked right on a boat. And I remember my dad's face just lit up because he's like, this is an experience that I've always wanted to have.
That the doors that you're talking about is exactly what I was just going to say. I was like, I've probably been there 100 times before I became a cast member. And one of the things that I never noticed was that you don't ever see somebody from Frontierland walking through Fantasyland. You never see that clash and break storyline. And that's one of the things I thought was so interesting. And of course, the point of the utilidors, but I was just like, oh my goodness, I've never noticed that. And it's just those little tidbits that like completely change the way you look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit, you know, we will go over the price kind of because it's a variable, you know, it's going to depend on season, like everything with Disney World, hotels, ticket prices, everything is season based. So we will get to that in just a second. But before we talk about the pricing, let's talk about, you know, what is included in a VIP tour. And I think, you know, we also have to talk about the most obvious thing that is not included in a VIP tour, and that is admission. So you do still have to purchase park admission. If you want to be able to hop between parks, you do need a park hopper ticket. So your VIP tour price is going to be on top of your price of admission. But for the price of that tour, what are you getting?
A lot. Well, of course, you get the one-on-one support of your guide.
Yeah.
I think that is just something huge. I mean, they're with you from start to finish. You build their rapport. They learn about you. You learn about them. It's almost like by the time your day's over, they've become part of your family because you know so much about each other. But it's just that one-on-one attention that you just can't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You just said they're part of your family. I got a Christmas card from Jaime after our VIP tour, and my whole family, I screenshotted it, and they were like, oh, Jaime. Like, he blended in, and you don't just, so I will say this too, you get a special VIP pin, which if you're a pin collector, I know that's a big deal, but everybody gets a VIP pin, and you truly get he is one of the family. There are some rides that nobody in my family would go on, but my husband wanted to go on, and Jaime's like, let's roll. And I have pictures of them together on rides, and I made a family book, and Jaime's in my family book. Like, It was so wonderful. And for us to, you know, the park hopping aspect of it was phenomenal because the parks are very spread out. And, you know, we started in Magic Kingdom. We knew we wanted to start there as our first day. And then we said, you know what, Jaime, what do you suggest? He's like, let's hit Hollywood Studios. And they take you in the back. You get a private car and you go behind the scenes and and then you go through the back of Hollywood Studios, and all of a sudden it was pure magic, and it made everything stress-free. You also get free ice cream bars throughout the day. You know, he'll feed you up with snacks. And there are rides that don't have lightning lanes. Most of the times you can just go through the lightning lane, but those rides that don't have the lightning lanes, you get right on that ride. The guide will take you right onto that ride. So there really is a lot. And you can also reserve at night if you want to go see the fireworks. They will reserve a spot for you as well.
One of the things you said too, about the transportation, depending on what time of year you go, if you're at a peak time, transportation, like the public Disney transportation, is wonderful and it's very, very convenient, but sometimes the wait times are rather long. So getting from point A to point B could take way longer than you would think. But having that like right there, it's like your concierge. It's fantastic because it makes everything so much more convenient. You don't miss out on a couple hours or whatever you're trying to see or do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's
Definitely.
here's an ice cream bar, hop in the car, and we'll be at
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios in 5 minutes. And it just, and
Everything shaped like Mickey tastes better. So
yeah.
Of
And as
course.
much as you prep sometimes of, okay, here's our park, here's our goals, they know exactly where to go at the right time. And it really blew my mind. I feel like I'm very knowledgeable, but then when I really took a step back at this VIP tour, I was like, wow, I learned so much. And it was just wonderful.
That's awesome. And I love to, I really think it's important to kind of talk about saving the time for the fireworks. Like that is a huge, like that can take up a lot of your park day right there. If you are staking out your own spot for 45 minutes to an hour before, the fireworks, that's time that you're not getting to spend doing something else. But if you have somebody else who's thinking about that and taking care of that for you, then that gives you, the opportunity to go off and spend that 45 minutes to an hour doing whatever else you want to do. And I think that that's, a huge perk of one of these two. And obviously, when there was a big parade, now we're doing cavalcades, which are sporadic, but when there was a big parade, and if there ever is again in the future, they'll also, get a spot for you for the parade too, which
that
is
perfect curb appeal spot that you need.
yeah, I know. For all your perfect pictures, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say the best photo spot for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
But for
But I
real,
mean, but they think about things like that, and that's another
Yeah.
thing they know. Like they know where the perfect spot is, and they're going to be able to give you tips and tell you things like that. So it's a huge perk.
It's nice too. They'll give you tips on how to maximize your tour. If you
Yeah,
don't want to be picked up at your resort and you want to meet them at your first ride, so that's when the clock starts for your VIP tour. Like that's a great way to, lengthen your tour. And also maybe you skip that sit down meal and you
yeah,
just eat all the Mickey bars and popcorn you can during your tour. That would be my choice.
yeah,
And
same.
have the sit down meal later after the fireworks or something like
yeah.
that. But just, you can really maximize that time with your tour guide and take advantage of everything they're providing.
Right. And two, if you do decide that you want to eat quick service or something like that. I mean, I know on our most recent trip last month, we saw a VIP tour guide, taking care of reserving seating for people at Regal Eagle, and helping make sure everybody got their food to them and everything. Like they really do think of everything and make it so much easier for you.
Just takes the stress off you too.
Yeah.
And like how Fawn had said, you can kind of, they give you the guidance and the whatnot if you're not really sure, because some people might go in completely like, yeah, show me whatever. And they could just ask you 2 or 3 questions and boom, next thing you know, they got an itinerary in their head ready to go for you.
Yeah.
It's like they know exactly how to make the most for you. So you do really feel like you got a wonderful experience just for your family.
Yeah. So how long do these tours last? What's the minimum amount of time that you can spend on one of these tours and the maximum?
Minimum is 7 hours.
Mhm.
And if you decide you want to keep going, you can keep adding on hours after that, and you'll be charged the hourly fee. We did 7 hours. We met inside the park because we wanted to maximize our time. And we ended up adding another hour because Jaime and my husband wanted to ride a couple rides together. So we said, let's do this. And it felt like looking back, it went by fast, but at the same time, we did so much. We've checked off every box on our first day, and it made our whole rest of our vacation easy breezy.
Yeah. And you can start at any time you want to. So,
Yes.
if you want to go in and take advantage of early park entry, if you're an on-site guest and get some things done in the morning and maybe sit down and have breakfast, you could start your tour a little bit later if you wanted to. Like it really is kind of on your own terms. Now, I know we typically save our questions until the end of the video, but we did have one question come through that is timely. It's relating to what we were just talking about. And that one is they only have reserved fireworks viewing if it happens during the tour. We plan on ending our tour at 6 p.m. Yes. So if your tour ends at 6 p.m., your tour ends at 6 p.m. So they're not going to do anything after that point. So, that might be something that you want to think about. If you do want that perk of them reserving a spot for you for the fireworks, you might want to start that a little bit later in the day. or add some hours on.
Add on some hours.
Yeah, add on some hours. Yeah.
And the
Exactly.
fireworks, I think, honestly, it's so worth it. These Disney fireworks are Disney fireworks, you know what I mean? And being able to be in a really good location because,
Yeah.
you know, your guide helped you secure that spot too. It's like I mean, I'm such a sap that every time the fireworks go off, I'm like bawling like a baby. But it's one of those things that literally is the icing on the cake after a long day of amazing magic and wonderful everything. And it's like the best way, I think, to end your tour is to be able to have like that prime seating and
yeah. But if you do have your VIP, we did it earlier. We started at 10, but we had a fireworks viewing dessert party planned for that night. So we knew, you know, we had an option because we knew we wanted to start a little bit early. So there is an option too, if you want to add on to that experience and book a dining reservation that includes the fireworks.
Yeah. And you definitely can do that for sure. There was one other question. Well, we'll get back to the rest of the questions at the end, but let's talk about pricing because I know that's probably the number one question that is still in people's minds. And so how much does it cost to book one of these VIP tours?
It's nicely priced. You get, I will say it after experiencing it, for us, the value was incredible. We were there Thanksgiving weekend. I would say, or Thanksgiving week, I would say I would average about $400 to $500 per hour for this VIP tour. Especially if you're going into like the very, very popular dates, you're looking at more of a $600 per hour. And that includes everything. And you are also allowed to tip your VIP tour guide if you choose to. So you're looking at a higher price point, but you're getting everything with that. It's worth it, in my opinion, if you really want to get the best experience.
And like we mentioned, that pricing, you know, it varies seasonally like everything does. And so, you know, if you're wanting this experience, but you're wanting to keep the price as minimal as possible, you know, definitely consider maybe going at one of those off-peak times. And, you know, you can work with a travel agent to kind of talk through your options as to when those times would be. But it's definitely something that I completely agree with what Jacqueline said. I think that the value for what you're getting for what you're paying is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, when you really think about the fact that you're getting this knowledgeable person who can really help you know, make that better.
For 10 people, if you're looking at an average of a $5,000 VIP tour, it's $500 per person for a very, very magical day.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great way to look at it.
And think about all the snacks and treats and all of that too. I mean, you got to think too, those things do add up, like in all realism. You know, I don't know. I eat a lot of snacks. So at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, wow, I spent all that on snacks. That's all in there, you know, and then add your kids and all of that too.
Yeah,
and you're walking on rides. We walked on Rise of the Resistance. We walked on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Like those are the most popular rides that had a 3 to 4 hour wait when we were there for Thanksgiving, and we just walked right on.
And Lightning Lane does cost, Genie does cost, and sometimes you may not be able to, especially at peak times, you may not be able to solidify those times. Even if you get up right at 7 to try to do it, you might not be able to experience that. Where with the VIP, you know you're going to be able to get everything.
Yeah, that's for sure. I definitely think that that's something that you have to think about too. I'm glad that you brought that up because I was about to say the exact same thing, that once you factor in what you would pay for Lightning Lane, particularly for a large party. So if you want that guaranteed pass for Rise of the Resistance, that's probably the most expensive Lightning Lane in the parks right now. And if you have a party of, 6+, that can add up real quickly. Same thing with Genie Plus, that can add up real quickly too. And so you subtract those things out that you may not necessarily need with your VIP tour. And the value becomes, I think, even better at that point.
Yeah. And I think too, like Slinky Dog is one of the craziest rides to get on. And we completely just walked right on, which was wonderful to have a grandparent there who had no idea what was coming. We're like, just get on this ride. They normally would be like, wait, what is this? And they loved it. And it's just, it's so much fun to just bounce back and forth. And
there he is.
Yeah, there he is. That ride is incredible, but that ride's normally at least a 2 hour wait.
Yeah. Easy.
And then you can just get on it again.
Yes,
Like they'll take
exactly.
you right back on the ride if, your kids or your grandparents or whoever is again, off
Yeah.
you go and you
Yeah.
ride it
Yeah.
again.
For sure. And
Absolutely.
my kids are notorious for that. Like, we might have just bought a lightning lane or we've stood in line for a long time for something, and my daughter will be like, "Again!" And I'm like, "I don't know if we can do that again." So, not if we wanna do anything else.
My son would be the same way. He would whine the whole way going up, like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do this." And then it's like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go."
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. So, last question, before we look at a couple more questions that we've had come through on Facebook and on YouTube, and that is, how does one go about booking a VIP tour?
For your agents.
Of course.
Well,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, it is, you got to think too. Of course, you can call in and do it on your own, but the best way too is to make sure that you go through an agent, because we can talk you through everything. We can even help you to come up with a little small itinerary you might want to bring to your guide.
Yeah. Absolutely. And two, making sure that, we're calling in sometimes the VIP line, just speaking from personal experience, sometimes it has a longer wait. And so since calling in is the only way to book this, either you can wait on the phone for a really long time to book it, or you can have your agent do that for completely free to you. So the pricing of the tour is the exact same, whether you go through an agent or whether you call in and book it yourself. And like Sarah said, you can, working with an agent, you can have someone who can kind of bring different options before you. And so that you go into your VIP tour guide meeting and you're already prepared and you can just hit the ground running and make the most out of that tour, for sure.
An agent can even help you pick the best time in your trip to go
Yeah.
and what day to go and when, you know what I mean? Or say
Yeah.
your dates are completely wide open and you're like, I want to go to Disney and I can go any month of the year. Your agent can help you with that as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of good to have the extra knowledge before you go get more knowledge from the
Yeah.
tour guide.
Absolutely.
And I think too, this is one of the few things at Disney that has a wait list too. So
Yeah.
they will wait list
Mhm.
you if it is booked to capacity, and to have that agent ready to answer that call and get you booked is really, really wonderful. And it's one of my favorite things that I've done at Disney. So I'm a big
Mhm.
fan.
Yeah. And I will say, I have never had a client who I have booked a VIP tour for come back and tell me that they didn't think that it was worth it. So, like, I literally, I have never had a complaint from any of my VIP tour clients. And I think that says a lot. And you really have to think about that too. So we have had several questions that have come through tonight. So let's take a look at those. I am doing both via Universal. Oh yes, Universal and Disney VIP tour for my vacation and spring break. Can't wait. That is awesome. I had a client who actually did the same thing, and loved it. Said it was their best vacation ever. So you're gonna have tons of fun with that for sure.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I know, right? Back to back.
Treatment.
Yeah. It's the transportation of van or their cool VIP SUVs.
I can speak to this personally. We had a van, but that is because we had 7 passengers with us. So if you are traveling with larger groups, it's going to be more of a van situation. But they do have smaller SUVs for smaller. But most of the VIP tours you're going to be at max capacity, so you're going to be taking those vans. But they were cool. We had snacks. We were ready to roll.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's availability and party size usually for things like that. But you might get a cool SUV.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I think that's 7 hours, 4 parks is tough. I think if you have been to Walt Disney World many times before and you only want to, which rides you want to hit, it's doable. But for a newbie, we did 2 parks, and we had a 11-year-old and an 8-year-old with us. If we added on a 3rd park, it probably would have been overkill. But we got so much done between Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios that the next couple days were easy breezy for us to hit Epcot and Animal Kingdom on our own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and too, I mean, it was mentioned before, if you were to maybe pass on a sit down dining, that does save you some time, but it's still kind of a lot because you do have to factor in even on the the best days transportation to and from the parks, going through and getting in.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if that's something you want to do, maybe consider adding a couple hours on, because you do have that option. And like Jacqueline said, knocking it out of the park at the beginning of your trip, or whenever, and then you don't have to stress and you can get everything and enjoy the rest of your time.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, right? Treat yourself. That's right. Do it. Do they let you eat in the van? Yes.
Yes.
I eat everywhere, so like, yeah.
There are snacks in the van. Yes.
Nice. All right.
Basically, they want you to have the best experience possible. So they will, and it's usually the clients that are like, oh, is it okay if we do this? And the tour guides are like, of course. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So thank you all so much for joining us and asking questions and interacting with us. We always love it when people do that. We love getting to hear from you and what what you're interested in. So we hope that you got some useful information out of this tonight. If you would like even more information, or if you're interested in booking a trip with any of the agents that you heard from tonight, contact information, it was located back at the beginning of the video. So if you joined us a little bit late, you can hop back and check that out. Keep in mind that booking through an agent is completely the same price as if you were to just go on Disney's website, or in this case, give the VIP tour guide or tour line a call and book this tour yourself. And yet you get to benefit from our expertise and knowledge and just being there to kind of help you every step of the way. So we hope you enjoyed watching with us tonight, and we hope that you'll join us again next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern for another episode of Sundays with MMT. Bye, everybody.
Bye.